think it's also important not to be complacent.
My name is Josué Rodriguez and I'm part of the Puerto Rican Student Association here at Emory.
Hi, my name is Eduardo and I'm the Vice President of the Brazilian Student Association, also known as BRASA, here at Emory.
My name is David Ramos and I'm part of the Alpha Association for Latinx Professionals for America.
Hi, my name is Hyatt. I am a sophomore here at Emory. I am part of the NAACP and the Muslim Student Association.
My name is Jessica. I'm a sophomore. I'm a part of, I'm just like a general body member for ASA. I'm a staff writer for Black Star magazine. I'm co-captain for Missouri African Dance Troupe, Minority Pre-Med Society, co-publicity chair. Can I stop now?
We have two main missions. One of them is to bring the Brazilian community at Emory closer and give the Brazilian people here at Emory a bit of taste of home. Our second mission is to bring Brazilian culture to the rest of the campus.
To embrace the Puerto Rican culture here at Emory and also to promote the Emory name back home in Puerto Rico.
The NAACP is it's for the advancement of colored people. So throughout campus, our chapter here, what we do is we do have several events to help people in the Black and Brown community. With several of the events we do is tutoring and even having students, high school students come here for different programs because there's several chapters of the NAACP.
The mission is to basically spread knowledge about Africa, the African continent, and also the individual cultures, and just spread awareness, and then also just build connections with other cultural organizations on campus.
Empower students and help them develop professional skills, whether that's be networking or that be looking at resume cover letters. We partner with a lot of organizations because in the past a lot of organizations have been very exclusive in terms of diversity. But today now diversity is thankfully getting better in terms of the groups. So some events we've had is we partnered with Bain, which is a huge consulting group. We had a huge carne asada, which was nice because we brought in a lot of schools from. Alpha is a national organization, so there's different chapters at different schools, and we were able to bring 6 or 7 Georgia chapters to Emory and connect.
What made me want to join is I wanted to be a part of one of the Black and Brown organizations here on campus. It's a way to keep in contact with my identity. It's not specifically attached to a certain race or ethnicity, so it had more of a broad range of people it could reach out to.
It's cool to just connect with people who you relate with and build a community. So.
As Brazilians, we feel sometimes that our culture is very different from the one of other Latin cultures, to the point that we really wanted to form a community of our own. We really wanted a way to be able to connect with all of the Brazilian people, to bring all of us together, and at the same time to promote our culture to the rest of the campus.
What is your opinion about the Latinx community at Emory?
There's a lot to it. It's not big. It's not small either. Nevertheless, there's a lot of barriers to improve. There's a lot to do for it. I think it's not united. I don't think it's intertwined correctly. I think everyone's just spread out and it's not embraced on campus. I think other communities are a lot more embraced than the Latino communities.
I think we can definitely grow. The Latinx community here is huge. It's kind of hard to really bond with the international students, just because they all the international Latinxes, because they tend to stick together. I mean, I can talk to any of them and they're really cool, but developing real friendships, real genuine friendships, I found to be a little harder.
Well, I have many opinions. International students from Latin America are very different from American Latino people. I have had some disagreements with them because they have said a couple of things that I just simply didn't agree with. They felt that they are sometimes oppressed to a certain way at Emory and they feel left out of things, and I have never felt that way. I have never felt any sort of discrimination at Emory.
People feel oppressed relative to their own communities, to their own experiences.
There is some kind of feeling among me and some of the other Brazilian people that some of the Latinos at Emory victimize themselves a little bit. they are arguing that they're being victims of something, which to me and to some of the other Brazilians just isn't really there.
I didn't really know much about it, like coming here, it didn't seem like there was a huge community.
What does the Latinx community, what would it look like here at Emory? Like, what would it mean for us to actually have a Latinx community?
I guess similar treatment to those other organizations that are big on campus. I think we just don't have the space or the opportunities to grow up, just like any other Greek Lab, for example, or many other organizations on campus. We're limited to what we get from higher organizations and from administration. Classes have a lot to grow, a lot to add to this. I think there's not enough Latino classes or classes that talk about this.
And while I'm all for like building stronger cultural communities, I just think we really need to be careful in the sense of not putting those people inside a bubble and making sure we're emphasizing to people the importance of being open-minded and getting themselves out there.
Wouldn't necessarily just mean like growth in numbers, but just, I guess, more of like cohesion between the people here, just like in any other like minority group in a predominantly white space. They will never be like a lot of us, but it's mainly just about like strengthening the ties between the people that are already there.
It's like being able to know that it exists in a bigger part. Like what should be, it's like we all should know it exists and like it's a huge part of the community, other than a small thing that like we rarely hear about.
That's something I'm working towards. That's something, I mean, it's not something that one group or one person can do. It has to be the entire community. To me, that would be incredible. We have a lot of room for improvement, but I'm very proud of the accomplishments we've been able to make this semester.
What is your opinion on the Black community here at Emory?
I think it's pretty diverse. Like whatever type of like person you are, you will find a group, like a Black organization on campus that kind of fits like your niche.
From my perspective, it is too small for where Emory's on. Having a 60-some% Georgia Black and then having an 8% here doesn't work well. I think that nonetheless, I think it's pretty tight. I think there's a pretty solid Black community here. I think it should be it should grow and they should have more opportunities.
Well, I feel like they have some kind of like isolation as well. Overall at Emory, I felt like there is a lot of division between cultural and racial groups.
I'm a part of it. I feel like it's good for PWI, but it could of course be better. There are certain people who control the whole narrative of being Black at Emory, so I guess being open to different perspectives of what being Black at Emory is.
When I first came to Emory, I was able to get closer to the Black community before I got closer to the Latinx community here. I think they're very strong, and then in terms of like connecting the Black community and the Latinx community, I think it's pretty good. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but I feel like, in my opinion, I feel we're connected. But again, that might be biased because me personally, I'm very connected with them.
Do you think the Latinx community and the Black community collaborate? And if so, how and to what extent?
I think they do in like, I've seen a lot of like events put on about like for instance like Diaspora Art Day and like the dialogues that they have about like being Afro-Latino and like the colorism talks and stuff like that. There's obviously room for like more growth and more like collaboration between the groups. Generally having like even with like general body meetings, just having people from different groups sit in and like just know what's going on in all the different student organizations.
I don't really know. I am not as involved in the Latino community. I wish I was more, and looking back at my time at Emory, I kind of wish I had gotten more involved.
I think we've tried, but I think we haven't succeeded at all. I think it's been maybe one activity here, one activity there, but it hasn't been a whole effort of, let's say, let's just help each other out, or let's just ask for funding together, or let's just make minorities improve or like make them bigger or whatever. It's difficult though because there's a couple Black student organizations, there's a couple Latino associations or organizations, and we don't do the same things, but there's still a place to look funding, etc., etc.
I feel like Sometimes you feel like they do collaborate because there are some events they do together, but I feel like it's more separate. The collaborations are when there's like probates where both the different fraternities go to. There are not that many events where you see a huge collaboration. It's just maybe 1 or 2 events a year in which both of them collaborate all together.
I think that we are collaborating. It's the thing that I love about both communities and just our community is that we're very good about advocating for each other and empowering each other because we understand the struggle. Whenever there's events for just minorities in general, I feel like there's always a very good turnout from both communities, the Latinx and the Black community.
What barriers do you think prevent the Latinx and Black communities at Emory from uniting?
I feel like it's also like people sticking with their own or what they feel more familiar to.
It's normal for different ethnicities and races to be enclosed and circled with people from their own ethnicity and race. I don't think there's a lot of studying in that line where the Black students and Latino students who wanna study. There's a lot of social and cultural aspects that we share, and there's no classes on it. There's no activities on it. Latino people have a big African background, which is not engaged at all here at Emory.
And just when you come to Emory, or you just go to university, I think it's very easy to go and you find comfort with people who look like you and people who understand your culture.
I think like one of the biggest barriers, well, number one is the language, and so that's one of the barriers, but I think another big barrier is ideological differences that we have between both groups in terms of how we see social issues here at Emory.
One, just like a basic barrier that everyone has is like time, but also just like specific conflicts between the groups, or like probably not necessarily seeing like the overlap. I don't know, like for example with like ASA, like some of like the GBMs and like the events we put on, like it may be hard to see like the overlap between that and let's say like something LSO might put on. So
what can be done differently to unite these marginalized communities here at Emory?
I think it's a matter of like equal treatment, and then from there it all like flows. Embracing the social activities that both Black students and Latino students like, and then just helping out with any disparities when compared to other mostly white students associations or organizations.
In the future, what do you think could be done differently to unite the marginalized communities here at Emory?
We don't feel marginalized in any type of way. I think that is one of the things that like keeps the Brazilian community from getting together with the rest of the Latino community here at Emory.
In the future, what do you think can be done differently to unite marginalized communities at Emory?
Yeah, so I guess just advocating younger, so just events they're able to just come and they're able to unite with each other and learn about each other's culture. Like there's a lot going on today in both communities. So just I loved learning more and more about Black history and just the Black community in general.
And in the future, what could be done differently to unite the marginalized communities at Emory?
I feel like instead of both organizations just working for their own like events and their own like social things, and having like more events together so that like you're not just pursuing your own goals, but like you're collaborating with other organizations and other communities as well.
In the future, what can be done differently to unite the marginalized communities at Emory?
I think it's probably just up to like us, like us as like the people who are part of these communities. We all have like different ideas on how that could work out, but I think ultimately it's like in our hands to like make sure that we unite and that we come together.
Again, like discrimination is, it might not be as prominent at Emory as you think it is, but it varies between and within communities.